Hi, Brandon.
Hey, Kat.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful because I'm in the kitchen. Whenever you guys let me out of my little commercial room,
let you out of your cage.
Yes.
So you're going to show off today the Rancilio KRYO grinder, and this is their new kit on the block.
This is their newest one. It's coming in line, if you guys are familiar with their MD50. It's basically the replacement for that. MD50 is not gone, but there's really not a big reason why you'd buy the MD50 over this one.
Okay.
So this is their newest one. This is the doser version. They are coming with what's called an on-demand version as well, so it'll have an automatic doser.
Okay.
So you won't have this big old lever.
The lever action.
Yep.
Okay.
So, oh no, I didn't clean up my coffee. So this one is my favorite because it's called the
KRYO.
I want to call it KRYO. The KRYO 65.
Okay.
However, it's got 64 millimeter burrs.
All right.
Yes, exactly. You got to read the fine print.
Okay.
Basically, there's a couple of things that they've done with this. One of the biggest things you can see right here. It's aluminum fins. Okay. This surrounds the grinding chamber. So the theory on this, and we're going to put it to test, is it absorbs the heat.
Okay.
So most of that heat that's inside of there, this aluminum is sitting right next to it. It's going to suck it up, absorb it, and actually dissipate it outside of the machine.
Okay.
The idea is that's going to allow us to be able to run longer and obviously not be cooking and burning that coffee.
Nice. So you should end up with cooler grounds at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you always got to remember we are going to be talking minimally, so it's not like you're going to have one that's just on fire to touch.
Smoking grounds.
Exactly. But the difference of literally being 200 degrees in that chamber versus like 195 can be all the difference if you're cooking it or not.
Okay.
A couple other things that they did on here that's pretty cool. When you actually take this off, when it comes off,
what'd you do to it?
I broke it. You got to pull it all the way out apparently. Let's try that again. See, we don't have blooper reels on this here shoot. It's live or die.
We're one long blooper reel. Okay.
It's flat.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So every other one you'll see, I mean, you kind of do this weird little, like, almost, let's not dump our coffee type thing that balances. Just I can just let it sit.
So it's got a gate valve. You take it off, keep your coffee in there.
Yep.
Okay.
And they give you a nice little fancy thing letting you know it's closed.
It's closed.
Because I wouldn't know that otherwise.
Okay. So when you pull that out to remove it, that's the gate valve pulling it out.
Yep.
So it's a little bit counterintuitive because usually you push those in.
You do, yeah. Normally you push it in to do it, so you're going to act, because you have a little slider, if you will, that's going to be closing it off. This is actually pulling it in, which is probably why they tell you it's closed.
Yeah.
Once we actually get inside of here, you're going to see it's not too much different than really the MD50 or the other ones you see. It's a little bit of work to get inside because you will need a screwdriver. So if we want to get inside to the burrs, we're going to have to take it off right here.
And that's just like a little worm drive that's running that's cooking into these teeth over here.
Yep, and I'll show you once we get this off. This right here, you can see this spinning. So once I hold this little lever down, see how that just spins?
Yeah.
It's going to bite into these teeth, and then it's going to spin that.
Okay.
The other thing, and let me grab another little screwdriver while we're here at least. It's got these 3 little screws right on here. There's a little locking ring. And what that's going to do, you can see once I loosen that spins. Okay. When I set my grind back, once I'm done with this, I'm going to set it back to where I am, and I want to center this. And the reason is, as you can see, I'm going to put this right back on here. See how it hits it?
Oh.
And stops?
So that's really, you're setting your range for the grind, your possible coarsest to finest.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so, ideally, once this is put back together and it's there, making an adjustment from here to here is actually a pretty big adjustment.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go from there all the way to here, that's a pretty big range of motion. They want to try to protect it a little bit because some people can just really spin it way out of there, and then once that grind is so far off, it's kind of hard to
get it back
figure out what's going on.
Okay.
From there, this just spins off. Let me set this back just a little tight real quick so it's spinning on me. This will just spin right off, counterclockwise, which is nice. Oh, look, it's got little arrows too, by the way. Sorry, I get excited about the little things, Kat.
I know you do.
Keep going and going and going, and it's off. And we can get down inside the burrs.
Okay.
So you can see it's the exact same, burr set you're going to see in most of your 64 millimeter burr set grinders. So inside of there, it's basically all the same.
Okay.
Very easy to get to, though. Still, again, 3 little flat screws if we want to change these things out.
Pretty simple to do.
Nice big collar to get into and out of, so it's really not that hard to actually get it off or on.
Cool.
All right, so we're putting this back together now. One of the big questions people are always asking is, how does this go back down? And so right now you can hear it's on. We're not hearing any noise. What we're going to do is we're going to just kind of keep spinning it until you hear the burrs inside there touching. want to be a little bit careful. You hear that noise?
A little whir.
Yeah, just a little bit of whir. That is where they're touching. Now that's going to be too fine for espresso. What we can do, in each grinder is going to kind of vary, but once we have that part, we can coarsen it up just a little bit. So I'm going to pretend it's kind of right there. I'm going to take it back to about right there.
Okay.
That's at least going to give me a good starting point. Now it may end up being here or there, somewhere around there, but at least we're close enough that we've got, you know, that we don't have to waste too much coffee resetting that grinds.
Okay.
So once that happens, you see I'm going to set this back kind of into middle, and then I'm just going to go ahead and tighten these screws back.
And Brandon, when you put that, when you put the little worm drive adjuster on there, what number are you going to set it at? Is that going to be your middle range?
You know,
your middle number?
If you were a smarter person than I, you would probably be nice to yourself and maybe try to set it at 0, because you can do that, right? You can actually change that, and it's kind of nice. For me, I don't care, because a number is a number. I don't really pay attention to the fact that it's 0, 5, or any like that. It's just a 1, 2, 3, so I really wasn't going to put any effort into it.
but what if somebody wanted to, would they put it? Are we technically at their mid-range point now, or are we at their 0 point?
Well, we're gonna figure out. Ideally, hopefully, if I did that right, I'm gonna be pretty close to where I want to be espresso wise.
Okay.
What you could do with this grinder, though, because you can actually turn this, so when I push this lever down, I can spin that wherever I want before I put it back in. Once we do this, I could actually set my grind to where I like it, and then set that as the 0 point.
Okay.
And now you can actually then pay attention to how much am I really changing it off of where I liked it.
I see.
So you could walk in, and that number could actually matter to you, which
Got
is
it.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to take this back in here. Same thing, I want to just get this in. If I can actually get it down, grab my screwdriver. And that's just going to lock right back in place. Once it stops, we're good to go.
Okay.
Put this back on there. Grinder's back together.
Okay.
So let's take a test with some coffee here and actually see how we did. Let's see how we did here. Let's see, that's not bad. It's probably a little bit coarse for espresso.
Yeah.
But it's not too bad. So I would really, at this point here, to make this adjustment.
Do you have to have it on?
You know, you do. What I'm going to do here, though, so it's a little tricky because you have to hold this down, otherwise it won't spin.
Okay.
So I've got my hand over here to hold on to it. What I'm going to do is take it first and just start twisting it just a little. And then I'm going to go ahead. And the reason it's somewhat tricky is, I don't know if you can see this, but it's giving me tension.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you're kind of holding on here to actually make that adjustment finer.
Okay.
Let me dump out this real quick because that is old stuff. You always want to make sure you're dosing out just that little bit to get rid of that hold back.
Okay.
And let's take a look at what adjustment that just makes. So you can see here now we went about 10 notches.
10 notches, okay.
Yep, about a total of 10 notches. Because we're going backwards, so it went 0 to 25, and we're going in 5 increments.
Okay.
Let's see. Still a little coarse, it's a little better, but you can see it's not, you know, it's not a huge difference right there, those little micro notches. I'm probably going to go another 10 notches, and I think I'll be right where I want to be.
Okay.
So let's do that one more time real quick. All right, so we ended up basically making one full rotation around. We're back to the 0 point. I went all the way around, and now I actually got to a good espresso. This is roughly where we want to be. So I was pretty close, you know, actually getting inside of there, but now we're really fine, very powdery.
So basically setting it, you did it at, you had that as your reference point as the 0. We did one full backwards rotation. So we moved the whole burr one time completely around?
No.
So one time closer, or what does that mean?
I guarantee you we did not move a full time because there was only about, there's only about 30 spindles that's actually inside of there.
I see.
I'd have to open it up and actually see how much that equated out to.
Okay.
But I couldn't have gone a whole rotation because I set that little spacer in there.
Okay.
And that really cuts me off at half, so I didn't even go
I
that
see.
far.
So that full rotation, quote unquote, is really this guy, not the burr.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a gear. It's a little tiny baby gear with a much bigger gear.
I'll buy a big gear.
Yeah,
Okay.
it would have blocked out before I even made it halfway around.
Cool.
But yeah, you can see, you know, we were pretty close, but as you saw, that's the whole point of really getting those burrs a touch, is it gets you so much closer. I didn't waste that much coffee actually trying to do this, and now what we can do is take this coarse. I'm going to open it up as coarse as it'll let me until I hit that ring, which will take, I don't know, but a good 15 seconds or so.
Okay.
And let's see the difference of that versus how coarse.
Let's check this consistency wise, it looks great.
Yep.
It's grinding out really fast, you know, as far as the the time for dosing.
Yeah, dosage wise, we should
Yeah.
be between 4 to 5 seconds for that roughly
That burr
14 gram
size.
draw.
Okay.
And it should really hold up to that. I mean, I only ran it for maybe a second. I mean, you
Yeah.
can see how much I pulled through here.
Okay.
Which is nice. Obviously, it's an espresso grinder, so we are going to go coarse just to see kind of where it goes.
And see how consistent it remains.
Yeah, and it's completely stepless. You can really go to chunks, if you
Yeah.
will. That's not its purpose, though, so you're really never going to be running it that
Yeah.
way, if you will. Now, because I'm coarsening, which means I'm opening it up, I do not have to have it on.
Because you're moving the burrs further away instead of closer
Yeah,
together.
the reason it's on is because there's something in there, so it's binding if
Yeah.
I try to push it. Right there, I just did that. So now, if you see, I'm locked out. So I
Okay.
just hit my spacer. I'll probably put this in here so I don't get stuck. Let's get some of that out of there. So you can kind of even see right here. See how some of that's still powdery, but then into here, it's a little bit thicker?
Yeah.
And that's because of all that holdback. Now, when we talk about holdback, this is actually a really good thing for you to be able to see. Because can you see right there how coarse that is?
Yeah.
So I made that adjustment, but look how much really, it didn't start until about right here getting coarse.
So, but it's still fairly consistent, I would
Yes.
say, in the particle size. So.
Yes, very consistent. Once we actually get to that, you'll probably see, let me go ahead. No! I only brought the one shirt today.
We need to get you an apron.
Let's go one more time. I just want to see here because we still had a little bit of that fineness in there, but now you can see we're really into that just pure coarseness.
Yeah. It looks like chewing tobacco or something. But it's still not that, it's not super, sometimes you get to this coarseness level on some grinders and it's just like road gravel,
Yep.
you know.
And we could do that. Again, I would have to go inside. I would have to basically
Yeah.
reset that setting point. So there is exactly why that's kind of a big deal as well. It's really nice to be able to hold it.
So who is this for?
This
what
is
what is
for-
the best purpose for this grinder? Who should be buying this?
This is really your everyday cafe. So
Okay.
people that are doing 100, 200 drinks a day, you know, that are really a coffee shop. It's got a 450 watt motor in it, which is a really big motor for these grinders. A lot of the comparable ones you see are really in the mid 200 range, 300 range.
Okay.
So it's a big motor inside of it. The idea behind putting a bigger motor into this grinder and also by putting these fins is going to allow me to do serious volume on it.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, again, this is, anyone really could use it. It's not going to hurt you if you're only doing 50, 60 drinks a day to have it. But it's designed to be able to handle a couple hundred drinks a day, just be in production all day long.
All right, so that is the Rancilio KRYO. All right, thank you very much, Brandon.
Thanks, Kat.